Hi, this is David at Mash IT, and as much as I love reviewing the laptops on this channel, nothing pleases me more than a tiny little PC. And so tonight I've got a little Ryzen based miniature PC. So let's unbox it and take a look. User manual, power cable, very small PSU, it is 65 watts, power this Ryzen, and looks like an HDMI cable. Now let's get the machine out. Okay, so that is it. Let's take a look at this machine. Now this is truly tiny. This is the joys of a Ryzen with an APU. And there we go, wow, that's quite an attractive looking little machine. What is particularly special about this little machine is not only is it a tiny little Ryzen build, that is a 5000 series Ryzen, so it isn't the latest, but what we've got with this machine is 3 different profiles by flicking a knob at the top, so we'll be testing that shortly to go between like silent, auto and a performance mode. But something like this I think would be absolutely perfect to have in your media center, you know, or by your TV. And you can play some great sort of retro games, esports titles, single player games where you don't need that full power GPU. These little Ryzens, you can play quite a few older titles on them, and we will be testing that later on in the video. Okay, so ports wise, on the front, we've obviously got the power button, we've got an audio jack, we've got 2 USB-A ports and a USB Type-C port, and at the rear, we've got another 2 USB-A ports, a display port, an HDMI, an RJ45 and obviously the power barrel. Which realistically on something like this I think that's more than enough ports that you're going to need to use to make a nice little media center PC with it. If you're interested to see how well it holds up to emulation gaming as well, because that's something I'm looking forward to hopefully trying on this. Right, so we're going to cut this now, I'm going to boot this up, get it ready, and then I'll be back. Okay, so we're booted up, it's come pre-installed with Windows 11 Pro, which was quite a nice little touch. I've basically just created a nice little portable setup here just to get it up and running. I've got my 240Hz Asus XG17, my little portable monitor. I absolutely love this machine. I've connected it via the USB-C cable on the front of this device, which has obviously VGA and data through that device. So that's quite handy. Got a nice little portable Razer mouse and a wireless, although I've got it plugged at the moment, keyboard. And that's it, we're up and running. So looking at the device now we're on, we can see we've got some RGB. Now the power button on the front, you can see at the moment we're in blue because this is the silent mode. If I flick it to auto, it changes to green. And then if I flick it to performance, obviously being faster, it's gone to red. So you know what profile it's in just by the colour on the power button. We've got a nice little bit of RGB on the top, just as the Ace Magician, the company name. And on either side, you've got some RGB light shining through the actual panel. Now you can download some software to turn the RGB off or change the colours. But personally, I love some RGB, so I'm going to be leaving it on. Now, obviously we're back into blue, into silent mode. It's still pretty nippy in silent mode. It does limit the actual CPU to 12 watts. The auto limits you to about 18 watts and then the performance mode up to 25 watts. But if we're going to be using this machine for a bit of desktop work, 12 watts is absolutely fine with these Ryzen processors. Now the 5600H CPU in here still performs incredibly well and just like blitzes through all your desktop tasks. So you could easily use this sort of machine for just office work, multimedia. So you can have this machine in your lounge, under your TV, so you can have it as a media center, and then play a few games in your downtime as well. So this is really handy, and it's nice and quiet in this mode. Now the idle noise of this machine is about 38 decibels. So not the quietest machine in the world, but it's just a nice little whoosh in the background. I don't really notice it, it doesn't bother me, but you can hear it. So I think let's fire up some games and let's see how it runs. And we're going to start with a bit of Dota and we'll check the different profiles. So I've just loaded up Dota and we're in the silent profile to start. So you can see we've got 12 watts on the screen. Specs wise, I've got it on very basic settings. So just medium and we're not even running 100%. In fact, let's put it on 100%. So I'll put 100% screen render resolution. So that's 1080p and medium settings and we're away. So even at 12 watts, this is playable. I mean, 80 odd frames per second. Yeah, so you're looking at sort of 70 to 80 frames per second. Temps wise, we're in the 60s, so no problems there. And I don't think the actual fan has spun up any louder than when we had it in idle, very little. So let's just quickly get a sort of fan noise on the 12 watt profile. So 41 to 42 decibels, so it has spun up a little bit, but it's really hardly noticeable. So, you know, if you want to play something that's quite lightweight and you don't want any fan noise, this is definitely the profile to be in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flick it to the auto mode. So one just quick flick on the top, and that's it. You'll see now straight away the wattage has increased. Oh, it's 20 watts. I thought it was about 18. So we're now up to 20 watts. This is the middle profile, the balance basically. There we go, back to 18 watts. So the fan, I can hear the fan has spun up a little bit. We're in the 70s now. It's hardly made a great deal of difference to performance, to be honest. So that's a quick fan profile. So that's 45 decibels on that actual medium profile. And it is quite hot in here tonight as well. We've got a bit of a heat wave in the UK at the moment, which is making things a bit more difficult. But we are away, and still very comfortable playing in this mode as well. It's not so loud. It's certainly not like a gaming laptop. You'd hardly even notice it in the background, especially if it's under your TV or slightly away from you. So I'm going to switch to the last profile now, which is the performance profile. So you can see one little flick of the switch. We're on the red profile. We're now up to 28 watts. You see the frames per second has gone up. We're in the 90s now. Fan noise has moved up a little bit more. And as you can see, temperatures were in the 80s. We are actually pushing it on this tiny little chassis. Let's get a quick reading. About 54 decibels, pretty much like a gaming laptop, so you really can hear it in this mode. So I think, you know, realistically, most people, you know, unless this machine's quite a way away from you, you're probably going to be wanting to stick to the balance mode. I think this gives you the best mix of fan noise and performance of this machine, because even at about 17 watts, you're still getting great performance out of this little box. And although the Vega graphics are a little bit dated now, you can still be playing esports, indie titles, awesome emulators really well on this little box. Okay, so we're in CSGO. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to play because I can hardly see at this angle. Oh, no. This is 900p and high settings. And you can see we're getting good 90 frames per second. And this is the balanced mode still, so we get about 15 to 17 watts. But yeah, totally playable. Really enjoyable experience. And for something this tiny as well, this is really quite amazing. You literally throw this in a bag and off you go. And with a portable monitor and small keyboard and mouse like we've got here, it takes up no space. It's just like taking a laptop, but you've got a nice little machine instead. So there we go. It'll play older titles really well. You're not going to be playing any AAA titles on this. This is an older Vega graphics. But considering the price of this product and considering what it is, this is a nice little machine because not everybody wants to be playing AAA titles. I personally play a lot of esports titles, so this would be absolutely perfect for this. Also, it came with 16GB of RAM and a 512GB SSD. And if you're not happy with that, you can open it up in seconds. It's got a magnetic cover on the side. The RAM is upgradable and it's 2 DIMM slots, so you can upgrade it to 32GB. And it's actually got 2 M.2 slots, so you can easily put in a second M.2 SSD in there and have a massive amount of storage for your games library. Or films and music if you're using it as a media center. So this is a really lovely little bit of kit. Really pleased with it. So there you have it. What do you think of this little device? Could you find a use for it? Do you think it'd make a great media center or a little gaming PC under your TV? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, I will respond. And lastly, thanks for watching.